friends in Thailand, somebody come as well. And for those Aussies in the audience, g'day. My name's Jason Trump. I'm one of the education team in our regional headquarters, and I guess I'm honoured to be here. I love this event. It's a chance to meet with a whole bunch of educators from right throughout the entire world and really hear about how you can use technology in innovative ways. But the biggest challenge that we often face is we don't know what we don't know. And there's so many technologies that Microsoft has got that frankly I discover as well through people like yourselves. So the idea of the technology showcase that I'm going to lead for probably the next 30 minutes or so is to give you a look at some of the technologies that we've actually got. I'm going to show you some new things that you may not have seen before, and I'm also going to show you some things that perhaps many of you already are using. We have a very, very diverse audience. We're from diverse cultures, from diverse countries, and from diverse levels of technology adoption. So for some of you, you may walk away thinking, oh, I didn't get a lot out of that, because a lot of the technology that was talked about are things I'm already using in my classroom. For others, it will be completely new, and it'll be inspirational and so on. For those of you that are the experts in the technology, please do share what you're doing with your colleagues from around the world. For example, I know many of you in Australia, New Zealand and Singapore are doing great things with OneNote. I'll demo OneNote briefly, but please tell your colleagues from Southeast Asia all about what OneNote can do and how it can actually have an impact in their teaching and learning. So we might actually flip over first of all to the screen here. And what I've got here is the start screen for Windows 8. So Windows 8 is the next version of Windows. It'll be coming out sometime soon. I don't know the date, so if you try to give me a few drinks tonight and try to get the date out of me, it won't work, because your idea of the date and my idea of the date is just an equal guess. But one of the things we've really done here is a very rich touch experience. So I've got a 2.5-year-old laptop here. It's a HP tablet PC. It's used by a lot of schools actually. I've been in schools in Australia and New Zealand that are actually running this particular laptop in their everyday classrooms. And one of the things we've done is a picture password. And I know little kids never remember their password. So I could go in here and I can literally just draw a few gestures and I'll log straight into Windows. The downside is I now need to change my password because you know how to log into my account. But this is actually the display when we launch Windows. Windows is very different in this user experience. We call it Metro. So it's not retro. Maybe that's the other company. Ours is Metro. And what we've done with this UI is basically these concept of tiles. And some of these tiles will actually give you information as well. So we're already working with people that are building connectors to the likes of Moodle, to the learning platforms like Desire to Learn and so on, to be able to have individual applications sitting in here or apps within the Metro interface that can show things like assignments that are due, projects that you've got ahead of you, learning resources that have been set for you by a teacher and so on. We also have a marketplace in here, or the store. Now this is very much the early version of the store. It's not populated yet, and we've still got developers that are putting applications in there. But there are some sample apps here, so you can browse through. It's a really nice user experience. If you've been using, say, an iPad already, then you'll be familiar with the concept of an online store. Well, we've really followed some of that footstep, but really taken it a step further as well. There will be an education category as part of the marketplace, and we expect there will be a large number of applications, both free and paid for, that will be delivered through the marketplace. But what we won't do is require that all of the applications that your students and teachers use be deployed through the marketplace and bought that way. You can still deploy using your network infrastructure at your school. So if you're an IT coordinator or you know your IT coordinator deploys apps, they can still do that. But we're giving you the choice to be able to do entirely through the cloud and the marketplace, or whether you deploy locally through your school and server infrastructure is really entirely up to you. So that's very quickly a little bit of a look at the store. I can scroll through, I can go into, for example, the photo application. I can see some photos here I've got of Seattle. I can use the usual sort of gestures to be able to flick through. I can also reduce down, if I can get my screen working here, into smaller sizes and so on. I can click on a picture, go full screen, and I can pull what we call a charm off to the right-hand side. And I can very quickly share that picture with my students. Maybe I could upload it to my learning management system. I could maybe run it out to a device like a printer, scan it, those sort of things are all possible as well using that particular interface. So it's quite a nice experience. It's touch first, but you can still use a mouse and a keyboard if you want. So I really wanted to give you a bit of a sense of some things there. There's an English club application. There's a physics app here. This is one of the demo ones that's up in the showcase now. So I could create my own physics simulation. And so my example might be here, draw a triangle, I might want to draw a ball, drop the ball, you can see it roll through. Very simple illustration of physics. Or I could go back and I could look at some that other people have developed. And there are some tremendous examples here, a truck going up a hill. There's one example. I've also got a set of online creations, so I can see what other students and teachers have created. And some of these are already looking to be quite rich. And there was one here I saw of a pinball machine. It looks like it's not shown as a profiled one now. Let's go and see if I can see it. And they're quite elaborate examples of simulations here. Just wait for it to come up. So the idea of these mini apps is that they will be developed by everybody. Students will develop them, professional developers will develop them, and some of them will take advantage of the web, others won't, but all of these things are possible here. So you can see here the pinball type simulation, and off you go. So quite neat. So expect to see a lot of focus from Microsoft around Windows 8. For those of you that are enthusiasts and really keen to already explore Windows 8, you can actually download it and you can install it on your computer. Now the general guidance we would give is maybe don't use it as your only machine at work. It might just be one of those things you might be living a bit too much on the edge. That said, I am actually running the beta myself. This is my machine. It's the machine I use every day at Microsoft. But I guess I can afford a little bit of ambiguity. If you've got a class full of kids there, I suspect you may not want to take those risks. But it is a very stable build, and we've been very, very pleased with the progress we've already made with the Windows 8 experience. Now, if I go across, I'll give you an example of some of the media apps we've got. This is Flickster, which is a preview of movies and so on. I could literally go in here, find a movie, and play back things like a high definition movie clip and so on. So we've really looked at that consumer experience, but we've also thought about how we bring that together, maybe in a class context as well. And so I'll let this play for a few seconds and you'll get an idea of the fidelity.
Clear the target. 1 o'clock, base of the tower. Overwatch, you're clear to engage. 3 days ago, 2 CIA agents were ambushed inside their hotel room.
Before she was captured, Morales was working.
So I'll pause that, but that's an example of the sort of quality we're getting. I can also browse through my individual applications just by putting them through on the side like that as well. So it can get quite easy to be able to navigate with where I am. And in fact, I'll also go into this experience, which is traditional Windows. So we can still run all of our Windows applications, all the existing classroom tools you've got. Maybe they're running on Windows XP today, Windows Vista, Windows 7. Generally speaking, all of those applications will run. I've been running some really old legacy applications, as we call them, on this without any difficulty whatsoever. So with that said, maybe what I'll do is launch a few different applications which I wanted to show you today. One of them is Windows Live Writer. How many people here blog or basically publish to web? So a few of you. How many of you would use Windows Live Writer today? Not many. There you go. So Windows Live Writer is a free tool. It allows you to actually build your blog entry online as well as offline. So here's an entry that I did earlier. It's actually a list of the educational tools that I'm going to demo today. The reason why I'm using this as the anchor of my presentation is because at the end of the session, I'm actually going to publish this straight up to my blog, and you'll be able to download it or view it on the blog and get all of the tools yourself. So I'm not going to demo everything on here, but I want to give you a sense for some of the things that we've got. In the interest of time, I'm not really going to look too much at the traditional Word, Excel and PowerPoint. A lot of you have said, well, we've had those tools for a long time. They've been out since maybe Windows XP, that you've had familiarity, maybe even before that. But what we're really focused on with all of those is really the integration of multimedia and making it really easy to do things that you commonly would do. A simple example is in PowerPoint. You might want to do something like inserting a picture, which I guess we've all done it at some point. Here's a picture of some penguins. But one of the things that a lot of people will say is, well, I want to get rid of the background. Is there a quick and easy way to do that? Well, I can pretty well just draw a box around these particular penguins. I can mark an area here that needs to be kept, which it didn't automatically identify. I'll put around the neck here. And then I can go keep changes, and I'll basically remove the background straight away. Now, in the past, a lot of teachers have had to go out and use something like Photoshop or another image editing tool to be able to do that. But I was able to do that free of charge directly within PowerPoint. And it took me literally a few clicks, as you saw there. So those sort of things are quite useful and things that kids will use and certainly teachers will use as well. The other thing I might want to do is take advantage of a tool like OneNote. And so I'll give you maybe a look at OneNote first of all. Just going in here. OneNote is basically a digital notebook. It's a way of thinking of it as being a traditional manila folder where you've got little tabs and so on, where you've got a notebook with all tabs on the side, and you've got leaves of paper in it. It's basically a notebook which has an unlimited number of pages to it. And on those pages you can put anything. You can put images from the web, you can put your own drawings and diagrams, text, you can put clippings that you've acquired, including the bibliographic reference of the URL and so on that you've brought that clipping from, and you can structure your notes in a really easy to understand manner. Now what some teachers are doing is they're producing a scaffold of the materials for their students.